All right, I am back. You know what? Let me turn the sound off so we don't get a bunch of notifications. Um, Turn the TV down too. All right, so I want to talk to you guys about this show that I watch. It's called Dark on Netflix. First, let me say this. If you haven't seen it, I don't like the way I look. If you haven't seen it, you don't want to watch this yet because I'm going in with all the spoilers and I don't want to ruin it for anybody because it is such a really good show. Now, if you haven't seen it and plan to watch it, please watch it. You won't regret it. The show it's everything. It's just everything. So y'all know I like to write stuff down. So like I did with my last video of what's that show called again? The Stephen King one. I had all my questions written down. Alright, so here's what I did first. I watched the series. It took me 3 days to watch it. I watched it the first week of October. And, I was kind of out of it for the first 3 episodes, but then I realized I was out of it. And then I rewatched episode 3, and then I was locked in by then, and I was able to watch the whole thing, no interruptions. Took me 3 days. Took me 3 days to watch the whole thing, and I was like blown away because I had it saved on my Netflix to watch, I think since February, but I just kept pushing it off. But I finally watched it and it was amazing. And I went on YouTube like a week and a half ago, and I found a bunch of questions, and I was like, you know what, I have the same questions just like I did with the other show. So I like printed it out, I wrote it up, printed it out, and rewatched the series. It took me a day to rewatch the whole thing, and I wrote down all the connections and all the answers to the questions and everything. So this is going to be probably one of my longest videos I've ever had because the show is just so intricate, and if you blink, you'll miss a whole bunch. So I'm just going to start with a quick rundown of what it's about and try to be as not too specific. So basically the show is called Dark. I think it's a German show, and it's a voiceover on Netflix. So it took me a few episodes to get past the voiceover and to where it's not annoying me. So I watch my TV all the time with subtitles, so I usually focus on the subtitles and not so much the lips because it'll throw you off. But anyways, it's about this little town where it's basically everybody knows everybody and nothing bad happens. So, kids start disappearing, and it throws everybody in this crazy mindset. And it's like, the same things happened 33 years. It's a whole thing about the number 33 and how everything is the same every 33 years. So kids start disappearing, and the further you go into the series, you realize it's a time traveling type of movie, and things happen, and what do they call them, paradoxes. So if this person hadn't gone back in time, then this person would exist, and if he hadn't gone back in time and this person didn't exist, then he wouldn't have gone back in time, and stuff like that. So that's just a basic rundown. They're jumping from one time frame to another. It starts out being just the one time frame, starts in 2019, and then they add 1986. yeah, 1986. And then a couple more episodes, 1953. And then the last episode, 2052. So it's 4 different time frames. Why those specific days or years, I'm not sure. But well, major question is, if it was 2018, would they go back to 55? Or, is it just those set years? That's one question. I don't know. All right, so the show starts out basically with a missing kid. I think his name is Eric. Yeah, he's a missing kid when the show starts. And then it flashes to the main character's dad. The main character is, what's his name? I have it here. Jonas. The main character is Jonas. So it flashes to Jonas's dad basically committing suicide and hanging himself. And, sends Jonas, it puts him in a crazy mindset, and he goes away for a couple months in a mental institute, but everybody thinks he's been on vacation somewhere. So he comes back and notices that Eric is now missing. And, so he's trying to navigate everything. His friend is now dating the girl that he has a crush on. So he's kind of out of place. His dad is dead. His mom's sleeping with the neighbor. And he's just kind of like lost, basically. All right, so Jonas' dad, Michael, is the one that killed himself. He's married to Hannah. And, and Hannah is sleeping with Ulrich, who is married to Katerina. And they have kids, Mikkel, Magnus, and Martha. Martha is the one that Jonas has the crush on. So in the next episode, Mikkel, who's Ulrich's son, Mikkel goes missing. And, they're going crazy trying to find him. But it turns out that he ended up time traveling to 1986 and got stuck, which is a big question I have, because if you've seen it, you've seen how Jonas, how Helge, and everybody else, they use the iron door to travel through time. But Mikkel and what's her name, Claudia's dog, just run. Claudia's dog just runs in the cave and is transported to 1986 from 1953. So I'm trying to understand, like, how did they get through the portal without going through the iron doors that everybody else has used? And I'm guessing that's why those two got stuck, because they didn't really go through the proper way. But yeah, to move on, turns out, Mikkel gets stuck in 1986 and is now Jonas's dad in 2019, which I kind of figured that out before it. No, I'm lying. I thought Mikkel, he got stuck in 1986, and I thought he was the dirty looking guy that was wandering around at first. But then once you go further and, more things come out, I would say this, towards the end, if you watch it as intently as I was watching it, it becomes predictable, but it's still a shock when it does happen. Now, to move forward, Eric, the kid that was missing, him and his dad was selling drugs to kids at the school. So that's kind of how Mikkel goes missing, is because a bunch of the other kids goes in the forest looking for the drugs that Eric left so they can sell and make the money that Eric was making. I have like family trees and stuff written down here, but I don't want to just sit here and just name off everybody. But as we go into answering these questions, then I'll tell the link between everybody basically. So the first question that I found on YouTube, the question asks, why did Michael kill himself? Now, Michael is Jonas's dad, but Michael is also Mikkel that goes missing 2019 and gets stuck in 1986. So why did Michael kill himself? Basically, you had this one life, and then you get transported somewhere. Now you have a whole nother life, and you see things playing out that you've seen before when you were younger, but now you're a grown man. And I think it messed with his mind. He didn't want to have to relive everything. And I'm pretty sure he didn't know if he was dreaming or know if this stuff was real. So it like really messed with his mind, and I don't think he could take it anymore. So he figured the only way to go was to take his life, which it's like very sad when you think about it, because here goes this little kid. He's now lost without his parents, and he has to go through his whole life by himself without the people he knew. What is that? Is that a cat at my window? Oh my god, that scared the mess out of me. There's a freaking cat at my window. But anyways, oh my god, that scared the mess out of me. But anyways, you navigate life, by yourself, and now you're growing up with basically you're growing up with your own dad. Or was it the tablet? Hold on, let me see what it was. Oh, my heart. Whew. Freaking cats wandering around here at night. They scared. Like the other night, there was a freaking iguana on my window. All I heard was the scratching. But anyways, yeah, just imagine like growing up, you don't have your dad, you don't have your family, you don't have your mom, and you get stuck and you have to relive your life. And you're growing up with your dad, you grew up with your mom, and now you see your brother and your sister, and you see yourself basically as a kid, but now you're a grown man. I think it's just all too weird for him, and just all too it was just too much for him, and he just didn't see a way out. I know I'm rambling because that scared the crap out of me, and you see I'm like right next to my window, so that's where the cat was. It scared the shit out of me, so my heart is pounding because I know there's nothing in here that makes that noise. But anyways, next question. So that answers why did Michael kill himself. Now the next question, why did he appeared covered in oil when Jonas was having his visions of him? Now, if you've seen it, Jonas has visions of his dad covered in oil, over and over again, from beginning to the end. And I think that is because if you watch the first episode where he hung himself, he was in his art studio, and it looked like he was like an oil painter. So I think that's why he appeared covered in oil, because that's what he used to paint was oil. That's pretty simple, I think. I don't think it had anything to do with anything else. Noah is the main antagonist in this show. Now, Noah is kind of an enigma because we don't know who he is yet. I have ideas, which I will, tell to you guys, further on in the video. I have an idea or some theories of who he might be, but he is one of the people, well, he's basically aiding and kidnapping and killing the kids, basically. The kids that goes missing. He's the one killing the kids, and he's trying to make sure that everything happens in the order that it already happened, and make sure the paradoxes, there's three main people that are making sure that everything stays in order. And he's one. Now this is asking when was he born, because he kind of jumps around in different time frames and he's the same age. There's no mention of him, there's no picture of him when he was younger, in any timeline. So I believe he was born in the early 1900s, because he said him and his mom, in a story that he was telling to Helge, I think, said him and his mom used to rent out rooms to people, and they used to do that a lot in the earlier 90s, and that's how he got his crazy, like, God ideas, is from somebody they used to rent a room out to. And then it asks, is he related to any character? Now, I have an idea that he might be related to Charlotte. If you don't know who Charlotte is the police officer, the female police officer, and she has the deaf child. And and the reason I think it's Charlotte's grandpa is because Noah gives the deaf child a watch, a gold watch, and it says for Charlotte. Now, it doesn't seem like, it seems like it's something that he might have given her, personally, when she was smaller, because she doesn't remember it or really recognize it. So it looks like it's something that he might have given to her when she was younger. And there's no mention of a dad. So I don't think a dad would have given that to her. It's more of a, grandparent, grandchild type of a gift. And Charlotte's, like, family is kind of a mystery at this point. We don't know her mom. We don't know her dad. We don't know anybody in her family. Only people we know is her husband and her children. Like, her parents are, like, in the dust. So that's why I'm more thinking that he's related to Charlotte. Next question asks, is Noah evil? I say yes. But he says Claudia is the real evil person. I say he's evil because he's actually killing the children. Like, you can't be good and kill children. Next question. Is Noah planning on breaking the loop? And I say no, he's not, because you can clearly see he has, dates and stuff written down in his book, and he's strictly sticking to these dates. So there's no way he's trying to break the loop. Now, there's a question trying to figure out who Agnes and Tronte are and what their deal, why they came to, what's the name of the place? Weldon, some shit like that. And why they came to town. Basically, Agnes and Tronte are running away from their preacher of a husband and dad. Now, you might think this person is Noah, but I highly doubt it's Noah, because here's what I think. When Noah was telling the story about when him and his mom rented the room out to this guy that was spewing a lot of, Jesus and Christian mumbo jumbo. Now, I think that person is Agnes's husband, and which is also Tronte's dad, which gave Noah the crazy idea. So in this time when Tronte is young and Agnes, and they're running away from the dad, I believe Noah is a small child at that point. So he's probably, under 12 years old at that point, in 1953. Is it 53? Yeah, 1953, I believe. He's a small child at this point, because the man that the parents rent the room out to, I believe, is Agnes's husband that she's trying to run away from, because obviously he's abusive, and you can see the cigarette burns on Tronte's arms when he lifts up his shirt. Now, Tronte is Ulrich's dad. Ulrich is the male cop. His son is Mikkel that gets, lost and transported to 1986. And the next question asks, how does Noah chooses his victims? To be honest, I think I don't know who wrote the book that he's following, line by line, but that's how he chooses his victims. He just goes by the dates and whatever he has written down there, and he's just strictly sticking to that. Well, now it asks about the dates on the wall. In one of the later episodes, you see Noah, he's all ripped and stuff in that cellar, and he wrote 2 dates on the wall. And I mean, at this point, I don't know what those dates are. I know one of them, I think, is when he dumped the kids in 1953 at the power plant. I think that's one of the dates, but the other date, I don't know. And now it's asking, why did Noah give Charlotte's daughter the watch? And I say it's because it's her grandpa. Well, if he was young in 1953, he would be Dad's age. He wouldn't be Grandpa's age. But she would recognize her own dad unless he left when she was young and she doesn't recognize him. So because I said he might be young in 1953, then he would definitely be Charlotte's dad's age, not Grandpa's age. So, but he's definitely, I'm claiming it right now, and I'm saying he's definitely related to Charlotte. If I'm wrong, I'll eat crow, but I'm about 98.5% sure that he's related to Charlotte. Someone close. Very close. And since her parents are a mystery, he's definitely related to her. Now, Bartosz. Bartosz is Jonas's bestie. He's the son of Regina and Alexander. Alexander just kind of appeared out of nowhere. He's a mystery himself at this point. Regina is the daughter of Claudia, and father unknown, but I have an idea who that might be. Claudia is the lady at the power plant. Regina is the one that runs the big hotel. And Alexander is now in charge of the power plant. So now the question is asking, what did Noah offer to Bartosz when Bartosz got back in the car with him and said, oh my God, everything you said would happen actually happened. So, and then he said, well, did you consider my offer? What did you think? So what I have, my answer here is basically to be the next Helge, because at that time, it's 2019, Helge is dead. And even back in 86, he was kind of wavering, and he's kind of lost at this point. So I believe Bartosz is going to take Helge's place and start taking kids and placing them different times and different places. I was going to say something, but I completely forgot. Anywho, all right, the next question asking, what does Claudia really want? And basically it's to keep the loop going, because if you see in the later episodes, she jumps around also and, try to put stuff back in order and make sure it happens again. And I was asking, what did she do after finding the dog? Now, her dog ran into the cave in 1953 and ran back out in 1986. So I believe she, after she found the dog, she realized what the cave really was and started on her mission. and with the book and all of that she already know. And it's asking, why did Helge give Claudia the book? I think at that point he was ready to, because I think this was after he visited himself and he was already having doubts, so he gave Claudia the book to, as a hint or as an inspiration for her, for her mission. And it's her next question. Is there more than one notebook? I say no. As you see, when Jonas gave his younger self the letter and then he burned it, and then all of a sudden he got it back from his grandma, it's the same letter. Now this is asking if it's more than one notebook. I say no. I say it's the one notebook. Maybe it's being moved around and handed off to different people in different timelines or time frames, but there's only one book. All right, now it's asking, where did Alexander come from? Now in one episode, I think it was maybe the second to last or the third to last, all of a sudden Alexander is running through the woods. He's been shot, and he basically appeared out of nowhere, no family, no nothing, and now he's like married to Regina, the head of the power plant, and everything. At this point, we don't know where he came from, but I saw somebody said that he might have came from the 2052 time frame, but I say no, because if you watch when he goes back to switch the passport and hide it underneath the little bush, you can see the date on the passport and it says 83. So he's clearly from the 86 timeline, but I mean, we don't know his backstory or why he was shot or where he was coming from. Maybe he was a thief and somebody shot him and he was running away. And the next question asks, who is he? We don't know at this point. I think he's just a runaway criminal. I mean, he's clearly young enough to be, well, he's clearly older than Regina in the 86 timeline, but he pretends to be older so he can get a job at the power plants. So he's probably around 17, 18, but he's definitely a criminal. It's asking, who's Peter Doppler's mother? Peter is Helge's son, married to Charlotte. We don't know who his mother is. I mean, Helge is clearly like nutso, so we don't know what crazy lady, shacked up with him, because his mind is already fucked at this point. So, 1986, that means Peter was young in 1986. And Helge was already crazy, so I don't see anybody that's already there in the show that would sleep with Helge, to be honest. So we don't know who his mother is. That's a complete, maybe he's one of the kids that Helge stole and decided to keep for himself. But that's to be seen, that's to be heard in season 2. Next question, what happened to Ulrich? Remember the second to last episode, he got transported to 1953, which I don't get. I don't understand how or why it transported him to 53 and not 86 like it did Mikkel and Jonas. So what happened to him? We don't know. I guess we'll figure that out, or we'll find out in the next season. All right, how did Mikkel and the dog get to 1986? I mentioned that before. Like, I don't know. I don't understand how they were transported to 1986, because you seen the maze that Jonas, Helge, and Ulrich had to go through in order to, navigate through the time portal. So I don't understand, because Mikkel clearly didn't go through the Iron Gate. He was snatched and taken, and I know two people can't fit in that tiny space at one time, so I'm not sure how he was able to get through there, unless, I don't know. The dog clearly just ran in and came back out. I know he didn't go through the Iron Gate. There's no way he went through the Iron Gate. So, that's still a mystery to me. And I think that's one of the reasons why Mikkel cannot go back, is because we basically don't know how he got there to begin with. That's page 2. Why does Helge want to stop Noah? Well, basically because he realized, what he was doing, and that Noah lied to him about everything. Noah promised him a whole bunch of stuff, and he realized that he lied, and that nothing Noah promised him came through. Realized that Noah was just talk. Now the big question: how did Jonas and young Helge switch places? Remember, in the last episode, Ulrich beat Helge and threw him down the cellar because he thought he was dead. And then when older Jonas sets the bomb, it created this big open portal, and they could see from 1953 to 86. And when they touched, Helge went to 86, but Jonas didn't go to 53. He went to 2052. So they didn't switch places. I don't know. They're just transported to a different time. Now, who are the people that found Jonas? The last episode, when he got transported to 52, he got taken by a bunch of missionary looking people. What's the word I'm looking for? Not missionary. Whatever. Some people that look like they're fighting a war. Now it's asking who it is. It's clearly the children of Jonas's generation. So, but they clearly knew that he was from the past, so it was like they were kind of expecting him. When in 1952, basically it's the aftermath of some kind of war. I think Jonas set it off when he set off his little bomb, because Noah kept saying, well, this is the beginning, or at this time it's going to change, and he was counting down to when Jonas set off the bomb. And it's asking who built the cave portal. Now, if you go back in one of the episodes when the watch guy, Tannhaus, was talking about, my mind is so scattered. When they're talking about paradoxes, he said, okay, well, Jonas is trying to destroy, well, Claudia said, Jonas is trying to destroy the portal with the machine. Well, in actuality, the machine is creating it. So it's just really weird. So basically, in efforts to destroy what he already created, he's creating it all over again. And then I had one thought that Eric was Noah, but then I realized that he's one of the dead kids that he stashed in 1952. Now, Jonas crushing on Martha. Martha is Mikkel's older sister. So that now means Martha is Jonas's aunt. So that kind of throws the relationship all off, and he's trying to stay away from her, but you know, she thinks there's something there. She's trying to hold on, but he can't tell anybody because nobody's gonna believe him. All right, so let me go through these notes that I have here. Yeah, Mads is Ulrich's younger brother. Mads disappeared in 86, but they dumped him in 2019. Now the cellar that Noah holds the children in and that he's building the machine in is directly over the cave portal, time portal. So, and he's using the children to power the machine. How he's doing this, I don't know. I don't know how he figured that children could power the machine, but in actuality, it's just killing the kids and it's not doing anything. All right, sorry, I'm just reading through. Now, when Jonas first goes in the cave and he's following that red string, it's tied to a little hatch door, and it's iron too. So I'm trying to figure out where that door leads, because it's not, we don't see anybody go down there, and it's not, we see it twice, so it's clearly there's a big deal to it, basically. So I guess that's something we'll find in season 2. This again, the cellar is owned by Helge's family, who like built the power plant. His dad is burned. He ran the power plant, and his mom hated him because I guess she didn't know if he was Burn's kid or someone else's kid. The coin around the kid's neck that Helge puts around his neck, Ulrich gave little Helge the little coin on a string, which was already Helge's coin on a string. So I'm guessing that's where Helge got the idea from, which was already his to begin. Like, this paradox thing throws me off, because you don't know. It's the thing with the chicken and egg. You don't know what came first. Obviously, he had to have it when he was younger, and that he clearly got from Ulrich. But he would have had to have it all along for Ulrich to get it and give it back to it's real crazy, and it's like giving me a headache, because these paradoxes, it's messing with my mind. Now, I mentioned Regina is Claudia's daughter. If you paid attention, you know that Tronte and Claudia had an affair for a very long time. So we don't know who Regina's dad is. But I believe Regina's dad is Tronte. So that would make Regina and Ulrich brother and sister. I'm about 95%. There's no other it's telling me that my thing, but it's still going. It's telling, it's because there's no other mention of anybody else, and I'm pretty sure we would have seen something. Now, H.G. Tannhaus, it's the watch guy. He builds the machine. And again, this is another paradox. 1953, Ulrich leaves his phone, and that's where he kind of get the idea to build his. Well, no, it's not where he gets the idea. What he makes from the phone helps to power the machine. The idea from the machine came from Claudia coming back and giving it to him, basically giving him his own blueprint and say, here, make this machine. Now, again, here's the thing. When I said that Noah was young in 1953, I still think that's possible, but the fact that Enos knows Noah as a preacher in, well, that's 86. He knows a preacher in 86. So that shows that he's, there's another one here. Yes, and Helge's mom knows Noah as a preacher in 53, and Enos knows him as preacher in 86. So that goes to show that he's not common, but he's known in these different time frames, which is weird that no one recognizes him in the other time frames. Like, if you knew him in 53 as a preacher, but if you see him in 86, wouldn't you wonder why he looks the same, and why he hasn't aged? The same thing with Enos. Well, Enos knows what's going on. And the same thing with Ulrich's mom. She her and Helge and them grew up together. So I don't understand why she didn't recognize Helge arguing with Noah, because she recognized the mess on his face, but she didn't recognize Helge. But they lived in the same town. They grew up together, which is weird. I guess that's a plot hole. And then one question. Older Jonas said that Michael, which is his dad, saved his life. I'm trying to understand how or what he did to save his life. And at first, I thought Bartosz could be Noah. But then after I watched it the second time and heard Noah tell the story about how him and his mom used to rent out the room, I struck that idea. But another weird thing is Alexander. He takes on the Tiedemann name instead of using his name, which is extremely weird to me. Like, you only do that when you're trying to hide something. Obviously, he's trying to hide something because he took somebody's identity. But why not keep the last name, and why you take on the Tiedemann name? Weird. Yes, and who built the machine that Noah's using? I'm not certain. Maybe Noah built it, but I don't see him as the type to like build a machine. And why use the kids to power the machine? Like, what does the kids have to make you think they can power a time machine? And like, how would you use it when they're in it? Like, I don't get it. And how does Noah travel? I don't believe he travels through the regular portal. I think he has a secondary travel, device or portal that he only uses. And then I had an idea that Helge might have been Regina's dad, because she has the hotel, which used to be Helge's childhood home, which is weird to me, because you would only, stuff like that is only handed down to family unless, you go and buy it. But then again, Helge is is slow as shit, so I don't see Claudia ever sleeping with Helge, ever. And then I asked, who is Tannhaus, which I just kind of explained that. Yes, that he's known as a preacher in because I thought at first he was Tronti's dad, again, until he tells that story. Yes, this is a big question. Who is the transvestite? the one that Peter was sleeping with, and basically the prostitute, like, he has no background, he has no nothing. And at first I was saying maybe he could be Noah, but then again, back to the story that he told Helge, and that kind of killed that idea. But I'm 100% certain that that transvestite is going to be a big part or have a big reveal in season 2, because he's like spread out all over the season, but with no real background. I mean, that's all the questions I really have written down. Like, but I'm pretty sure there's so much. Like, the show completely blew my mind. Like, I love shows that ask 1,001 questions, because it gets you thinking, and then once you rewatch it, and then the other seasons come, then you have those questions answered, and it's tied up. It gives them a reason to have another season, basically. And I love shows like that. I love shows like that. Like the last one I did the video on, I completely forgot the name. Like, how could I forget it? I love that show. But anyways, Dark is an amazing show. Like I said, you have to get past the voiceover. It will throw you off, but the show is freaking amazing. It's mind-blowing. Like, there's so much questions, and I might end up watching it a third time to see if I can answer some more questions, especially about Noah. But I mean, I think I talked about all I wanted to talk about. I don't feel like I talked about anything, actually. I should just run down. Yeah, and in the end, Hannah, who's had this crazy crush on Ulrich all her freaking life and sent him to jail because he was in love with Katarina, asked Alexander to end his life. But I don't know how she knew that Alexander has the capacity or the wherewithal to destroy him. But he's already been destroyed. I think he got stuck in 1952 or 1953. I think he got stuck. It ended with him being in jail, and then what's her name? Charlotte was looking through the paper and she saw his mugshot, and now she knows what's going on. What else? Katarina. Well, she lied to Katarina, saying that Rich was trying to leave her and stuff like that, which is a complete lie. I can't believe Katarina actually believed her. Regina, I think Regina's just mad at the whole world because now she has cancer, and because she claims that what Katarina and Ulrich did to her when they were little was so bad, and now she has a bad act. It wasn't that bad. They tied her up to a tree. Well, they left her there all night, but I don't see it as being that bad to where she has this shitty ass attitude all her life. Bartosz is a brat. Helge's an idiot. Bernd is a terrible person. Claudia, Noah, Future Jonas are not Future Jonas. Claudia and Noah are trying to keep the loop going. Claudia is more the small details, trying to keep the loop going. Noah is just making sure the big things, like the stuff with the kids happen. Those kids that's already gone missing goes missing, and using them to power the machine. Jonas is trying to end the loop, actually, because he's trying to use the machine to end it, which actually creates it. Um, what else? I swear I'm missing something. And Tronte and his wife, his wife is nuts. Ever since Mads goes missing, she's like completely lost her mind. Oh yeah, the son, what's his name? Katarina and Ulrich's son. Now I have his name here. Magnus has a thing for, what's her name again? For Charlotte's older daughter, Francisca. Now he believes Francisca's, found a drug spot and is selling drugs, and that's how she's getting all that money. But he goes to check out her little area and realizes she's been prostituting herself, because he finds condoms and he finds her little necklace, and it just looks like dirty. What else? So I don't think Noah or Helge stole Mikkel. I think just like the dog, he like ran into the cave, and I guess he hit the sweet spot and was transported, because he's like the only kid that they didn't use for his machine. All the other kids that they took and that they stole and kidnapped were used to power the machine and were killed. And Mikkel wasn't used or killed, so I know for a fact that they didn't steal him. He wanders off and goes missing and gets transported, and that's why he can't come back, because he doesn't know that there's a full-fledged machine in there and like how to use it, because that's not how he got there in the first place, which I don't get how he got there. That's one of the major mysteries, and I'm hoping they answer that in the next season. But yeah, I've been talking for about 50 minutes now, like rambling on. I hope I could answer some of your questions. If you have extra questions, let me know, and let me know so I can write it down and see if I can answer them too. If you guys have any, more information or, answers to the questions yourself, let me know, and I will definitely look into it. I'm just going to get off of here. It's like 10 o'clock. I'm about to go to bed because I am sleepy. And, yeah, any questions on anything, readings, any videos or anything, just like post them down there. I mean, I have my email address in in a bunch of these videos, so I'll add it again. So if you have any questions, if you want a reading, if you want anything, like I want to start posting readings again, like if you guys want any of that, let me know and I would get on it. But thanks again. I'm gonna say good night.